For years, we've heard Democrats say abortions up to birth were out of the question. Today, with a stroke of a pen and thunderous applause, Massachusetts signed it into law.
I would bet a lot of money that this is not a trend.
I've got some money on me.
What makes the difference between a living fetus versus a chicken that you might eat tonight? What is the difference there?
But freeborn in itself is like an oxymoron because they are not born and therefore they're not alive.
You are now on the radical level of only 7 countries in the entire world: Australia, Canada, China, Guinea-Bissau, Mexico, South Korea, Vietnam, all allow abortions on demand without any gestational age limit.
And some of you men, you know exactly what I'm talking about because you come to Marshall Church with blood-soaked hands. You wanted sex and not marriage. You wanted sex and not children. And you are accessories to murder.
What's up, church fam? I hope you're having a blessed day. And if you're not part of this church family, I'm still glad you're here. Welcome to my channel, and I hope you enjoy this video. So Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey just signed in legislation that removes restrictions on abortions after 24 weeks. Yes, you heard it right, after 24 weeks. So we're going to get into that. I got some couple video clips that we're going to check out to get views on both sides of this aisle, because, you know, this has been a hot topic in the United States for some years now, right? People get passionate about it. And I think if you're a Christian, you should have a certain view on this for sure. So we're going to get in a little bit of scripture also, but let's check out this news clip.
Welcome back. For years, we've heard Democrats say abortions up to birth were out of the question. Today, with a stroke of a pen and thunderous applause, Massachusetts signed it into law. Just 2 years ago, that same governor was using that same hand to greet the Pope Francis at the Vatican. Her state now is the 10th to implement terminations up to birth, joining Alaska, Colorado, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, Vermont, and Washington, D.C. No one supports abortion up until birth. That's what was said just 2 years ago by Jen Psaki. Sound familiar? It's not the first time we've heard something like that. Nobody wants to take your guns away. It would seem we're just a couple of months away now from a beautiful shot of Democrats smiling and cheering on a gun confiscation law in some blue state. So congrats, Massachusetts, on your failed promise. And you are now on the radical level of only 7 countries in the entire world: Australia, Canada, China, Guinea-Bissau, Mexico, South Korea, Vietnam, all allow abortions on demand without any gestational age limit. Even your esteemed models of democratic socialism in Europe aren't down with this infanticide. Joining me now to discuss this is attorney and Catholic pro-life community executive director Cynthia Schmidt. Cynthia, it's good to see you.
Thank you.
First off, I just think it's crazy that we live in a day and age where this is legal. We live in a first world country where you can kill off your children. And that's what it is. I think what it boils down to is, what do you call life? Do you call a baby in a womb a life? Forget the whole talk of, well, where does that life start? Because at conception, it begins, right? Something is happening, something is moving, something is growing, something is feeding. That something is a life. That something will be a baby, will grow into a child, to an adult, and live amongst us. And I don't know, I can't understand how people, just because the baby is not born, people will not respect that as a life. And a lot of it is, I think a lot of it is culture. A lot of it is the culture, right? We moved away from God so far, we stepped back into child sacrificing. And that's what it is. You can call it what you want, right? Some people have problems with saying child sacrifice, demonic, that's witchcraft. But what do you think this stuff is? If you're killing a child's life, let's say you call it an abortion, for whatever reason that you have, you're sacrificing that child's life for what you think is a better cause, right? And I mean, the discussion can be had. Well, what if the child is, there was a couple that they obviously had a hard time doing this, but they had an abortion because their child was going to come out with Down syndrome. And I get that. I get that it would be a hard task. I can't imagine that, right? To have a child who has Down syndrome and have to raise that child and, you know, go through the pain and you know, all the burden that comes with that. But that's a life. That's a life, right? And who's the judge on whether lives should be taken away or not? Who's the judge on that? A doctor? You and the doctor? Is that what that's what it boils down to? The doctor will make a decision on if this baby should live or not.
So much for having me.
What do you think, first of all, of the images coming out of Massachusetts of the governor signing this law into being surrounded by a group of ladies cheering and clapping?
I think that this image is contrary to what the United States of America stands for. I think it's contrary to what the average woman in the United States wants. This image of women intentionally wearing pink, trying to shove this down our throats like it's some sort of women's rights issue is absolutely beyond the pale. And I think that's why women are waking up right now to speak out against the Massachusetts law.
The point of this law is that it is now unlimited. So 33rd, 34th, 35th week abortions in Massachusetts.
Crazy.
Tell me what that entails.
It's crazy.
That's extremely late. Extremely grotesque.
It's extremely grotesque. And not only that, Will, the law in Massachusetts before this new law was passed was extremely permissive. So it already allowed, after 24 weeks, women to terminate their pregnancies after 24 weeks if there was a risk to health of the mother, mental health risk, physical risk, diagnosis to the baby. And for them to remove all of those restrictions removes any sort of guardrails and makes this completely at the whim of the abortionist and the mother.
And this puts them on very, very rare ground, although there are several other states in the country that do this, all of them blue states. When you take a look at the world, Cynthia, it really puts you in rare company.
It absolutely does. I mean, all of Western Europe has much more restrictive abortion law. As you noted in your intro, I mean, we're now right squarely within the Chinas and the North and South Koreas of the world. So it's deeply disturbing from a precedent perspective. And it's why Americans, we have to wake up and we have to say, you know, Dobbs, it returned it back to the states, and there's not a court that's going to save us here. This has to be the expressed will of the American people to stand up for life and to create a country where life is sacred.
And you told me.
I agree with her. I agree with her 100%. I want to show you this other video. This is from a channel called Abolition is Rising, and he pretty much goes out there and he's protesting abortions. He's in the streets trying to get different point of views as to why people agree with this, right? And maybe trying to get them to think of just another way to look at it, right? Another way to look at it. Look at the baby as a life, not just a fetus. You know, even though you call it a fetus, yes, technically it's a fetus, but it's still a life, right? So let's check this out.
Well, okay.
A human fetus.
This says 10-week surgical abortion.
Yep.
At 10 weeks, this is not, first of all, this picture is not 10-week old fetus.
How much would you bet on that?
I would bet a lot of money that this is not a 10-week
I've got
fetus.
some money on me.
This is for sure not a 10-week
All right.
fetus, okay? I
don't own your phone.
Fetus.
Okay, look up a 10-week fetus on your phone.
It's definitely not that, my money.
Just look up
and
a
even if
look
it
up a
was
10-week old
10-week
fetus.
I wouldn't give a fuck.
Exactly.
Okay?
So that's
There it goes.
that's what I'm saying.
This is not a
Like,
person. This is not
yeah.
a human being.
And that's the important thing to understand. Even if someone said, okay, even if the African slave is a human, I don't give an F because
No, because
that's how they
I'm
argued.
saying that fetus is not a human being yet.
What do you think word
Because
fetus means?
Okay, first of all, at 10 weeks
Offspring?
old,
Child?
fetus doesn't even have a heartbeat. Man.
Well, they do at 10 weeks old.
No, they don't.
But I would
that
defend
starts
them.
at 12 weeks.
How much would you bet on that?
100% that starts at 12 weeks. Why do you think all of
How
these
much would you bet on that?
Republicans do these 12?
It's crazy how ignorant people are. You're going to have this strong opinion on abortions and you don't know when the heartbeat starts. It's just wild.
Week laws.
Well, I'm not one of them.
Because heartbeat
I
starts
don't-
at 12 weeks.
I believe
my
human
man.
beings
So
12
before
weeks.
develop
you
a heartbeat.
abortion
I don't think
to
it's-
slavery, maybe get your facts right, okay?
Hey, I don't think you would stand by any of your facts, and we could check them. We could check all the facts you've made. Ask your phone whenever the heart develops in the womb. And did you say $100? What did you say?
I don't think so. No, let's go up there.
Just look up a 10-week fetus.
Yeah, week 12. Heartbeat.
You didn't show me.
Yeah.
You didn't show me. You didn't show me.
Okay. And so what?
It's because you looked up on your phone, you read that your fact was wrong, and then you put your phone down, and then you'll continue to lie about it. Now, I do not think that our value is related to the possession of a cardiovascular system that's fully developed. Because I don't even think it fully develops until much later.
Constitutes as a human?
Any human, so a human being is created via sexual reproduction.
Right.
So whenever the human sperm and the human ovum, they're not, those are just, carrying genetic material.
Right.
When you have the fertilization of the ovum, you have the conception
Of a human.
of a distinct human.
Okay, what
distinct
about
DNA.
ectopic pregnancy? Because that is a fertilized egg.
What? Yeah.
Ectopic pregnancy.
Yeah,
that
that's
is
someone
a
dies.
fertilized-
Yeah, a human being dies.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, and
That doesn't even make its way to the uterus, where it can be.
Right. No, it actually implants ectopically.
Yes.
Right, so-
anywhere else in the body
So
other than the uterus.
that would be like, so whenever a human being implants somewhere where they're going to die, it's a natural death, right? So they implant somewhere where there's not enough space for them to develop, and they begin to grow, and it's not it's like being in an environment that you cannot continue to live. It won't sustain your life. But it is a human being that dies.
All right, I'm not.
See, I think it's not facts that you have a problem with. It's act.
I mean, you can argue all the facts, all day, but she said the quiet part out loud. She said even if it was true that this was a 10-week-old fetus that he's holding in the picture, she wouldn't care. So she said, I wouldn't give an F. And I mean, that's the truth. So why even argue all these points, right? People can argue the fact that, what about rape and incest? What about situations where the mother's not going to make it, or complications at birth? Okay, but if you were to, let's say you throw all those out and you say those are permitted, right? What about all the other ones? Are all the other abortions a no? They're not going to agree to that, so why even throw that argument anyways, right? I think if we can get to a point where we're honest with ourselves and we call it what it is, a life, whether that's at 1 week, 2 weeks, 8 weeks, 6 months, whatever it be, if we can call it what it is, a life, and be honest with ourselves, we can weed out the people who say, okay, I don't care if it's a life. I'm okay with getting rid of it. I'm okay with murder. I don't care if it's a life. But you put all this false information out there where you have people like her who say it's not a life. There's no heartbeat at 12 weeks. Why does she believe that? Because that's what you see out there. You see all these people, they're arguing from a state of ignorance, right? And they think it's not a human life. They think at 12 weeks, it's a clump of cells, like how they call it. But it's crazy, man. We're going to see what I don't know if this is her boyfriend, whoever this guy is. We're going to see what he has to say.
Okay. Listen, I would like to argue that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to get into debate here, but
That's
I would
okay.
say that
We don't have
this
to
is
debate, we can just
entirely
converse.
different because a slave an enslaved person was these are people with lived experiences and memories and and like a psyche, whereas the other is not. So even if you consider that to be a living organism, which can be debated, I do believe that it is entirely different to treat an enslaved person, someone
But what if the advocate of slavery argued, listen, it's entirely different. They are not as intelligent. They are not meant to be anything but chattel. They are property. That's their status. They are not as high as we are. And they use those kinds of justifications to harm those humans. Because how do you think slavery was being justified?
Yeah, because I mean,
They were not the right kind of human. Picking attributes.
yeah, because I mean,
This is completely
they
you do know that this is completely based off of colonization of the
especially
pretty much
since
the entire world.
that
based
has
off
been
of-
disputed by modern science.
What would be
So,
disputed? No, modern science,
that
just
they're
like she
not-
looked up on her phone, modern science is going to tell you that human beings, like you guys, me, all the human beings that you see, we were conceived via sexual reproduction. We did live a portion of our lives in the wombs, then we were born, and then we continued to develop biologically. We went through puberty and we developed biologically, and we weren't really fully developed in a biological sense until like our 30s. But that whole time,
That's not even true either.
you could look that up on your phone
That's
and
not
bet
even
some
true
money.
either.
Biological development is a continuum.
Right.
And so that whole time, you don't ever go from non-human to human. You go from human, you want to get out of the sun?
Right, but
Yeah.
we go from embryo to fetus
Mm-hmm.
to then born baby.
Prepubescent. You go through puberty later. So that's biological development. That's cell division. Your sexual organs.
So
It's
you're
like
calling
blowing her
cells just a clump of cells, right? So an embryo
We're made
is
of
just
cells.
a clump of cells. You're calling a clump of cells
We
that
are made
can be seen on a petri dish.
Mm-hmm.
You're equating that to this
Yeah.
living, breathing man right in front.
Categorically, yes. So human
That's just
at
not
this stage,
completely.
like
That's just not
no,
true
it's
at all.
just think about it. Say someone came by with like a newborn or a toddler or something like that. So I would say he's a human. Obviously, that human hasn't gone through puberty. This human has.
Right.
Further along in biological development. That is not denying the fact that they're both humans. Just like you could say,
we both have personalities, and we both have psyches, and we both have
Thoughts
lived
and
experience,
feelings
Yeah.
and emotions.
and therefore we
sure,
are
but
that
I
past what makes us
don't
human.
judge people
I don't-
on their level of experience. I believe in human rights. So,
Okay, what
But
about
the thing,
the right of the person carrying the fetus?
So
Like the slave
can we just
holder?
say, okay, so at
the
end
slave
of the
holder
day,
had a
at
right
the-
to property. That was wrong. The mother has a right to her property. That's wrong.
the mother has the right to her own body, which
Yes,
is housing
she does.
the fetus.
Just her body. And all of us are housed. That's not the best word, but it's kind of property type language. But like a mother has a right to her body, her own choices, her own autonomy, because she is a human being.
Yes.
The child in her womb, just like all other human beings,
But you
has
do
their
know
own body.
that the child in the womb cannot survive up to 22 weeks.
Sure, they can only
cannot survive
Sure.
outside
They
of
can only survive.
the human body.
Yeah, that's where they're alive. That's where they're surviving. If you take them out of the womb, they'll die. Like maybe we
Because
have modern technology, 19 weeks or something. But if you take a human being, like say you put me in the bottom of the ocean, I'll die. You change my
I mean,
environment.
that's not our natural way.
right.
To do that, so
Exactly.
Obviously,
Exactly.
why would we?
Yeah, so taking someone who can live in one environment and putting them in an environment where they can't live will kill them.
my point-
But that
the
doesn't change
environment
their.
is a human being in a human
Yeah.
being's body, and
Yeah.
therefore
So
she has the right.
if-
Preborn humans can only live in the womb.
Okay, but so if
But
let's
preborn,
say-
saying preborn in itself is like an oxymoron because they are not born, and therefore they're not
alive.
And
No, they're
therefore
alive.
You can't kill something that's not
If they're not
alive, and that's
no.
that's not
If they're
alive.
not alive, you don't have to abort them. They're dead. They're already dead.
Well,
Abortion-
abortion isn't killing anything. It's not.
Yeah.
man.
So you are alive. So from conception on, you are alive, and you're living in the one place you
Are
can
you
live.
categorically
Are you?
not
Are you?
true?
No, you're saying it's categorically not true, but it's actually the opposite of what you're saying. Categorically,
Do you remember?
I don't even have words. And what's crazy is this couple, they're a lot more decent than a lot of the other people I've seen arguing with people like this guy who are out there protesting abortion and just being on the pro-life side of things. But I want to show you this sermon from Pastor Mark Dricoll. I think it's from 2 months ago. But we're just going to watch a short part. I know this video is going long, but it's so good. So I want y'all to see this.
In addition, When sex is a demonic religion, children are the sacrifice. Every religion has a sacrifice. Make no mistake, we love death because we love sex. So people want to have sex, but not marriage, family, and responsibility. The passionate flames of sex, they fit in the hearth of marriage. I always told my boys growing up, we had a big fireplace, we lived in a colder climate. I'd say it's really good to make a fire in the fireplace. Because with boys, if you don't tell them, they'll make one in their bedroom. You got to tell them where the fire goes. Sex is great in marriage. You take it out, it burns the whole world to the ground. That's what we've done. Here's what it says, Ezekiel 16:20-21. You took your sons and your daughters, whom you had borne to me, and these you sacrificed to them to be devoured. You killed your own kids. Were your whorings. It's just sexual deviancy. So small a matter that you slaughtered whose children? My children, and delivered them up as an offering by fire to them. Here's how God sees it. The Bible says that God is a father, and when a child is born, what God is saying is, that's my child. What that means is you and I as fathers, we are caring for the Father's children. And what God is saying here is, he's like, why in the world are you killing my kids? And a lot of the men and the women would be like, well, these are our kids. God's like, actually, no. You're not the author of life. You're not the sovereign ruler over life. You're not the eternal judger of life. Those are my kids. How would you feel if it was date night and you had little kids and you hired a babysitter and you told the babysitter, hey, keep an eye on our kids. And you came back and there was blood all over the house.
You know, what he's saying is so true. We're called to be good stewards of the Bible. All throughout the Bible, you know, God calls us to be good stewards of everything he's given us, right? Nothing belongs to us. Anything that we have is a gift from God. And, you know, whether that be, you know, your house, whether it be property, your job, your finances, anything that we have, we should be good stewards of that because God has given us that, down to our children, especially our children. You know, if God has blessed you with a life, then we should be raising our children up in a godly manner, right? In a way that God would approve, right? Because God has blessed us with that. And, you know, that's what he's saying right here. He's saying, those are my children, right? I think somewhere in the book of Matthew, I forget which chapter, it says, wherever your treasures are, your heart will be there also. And that, you know, meaning whatever you put your value in, it's going to show what your heart desires. And it makes me wonder, all these people that don't value life, they don't value life because that life is in a womb still. You know, I can just imagine the hundreds of things they do value. All the stuff they have, you know, whether it be cars, like I said, properties, whatever they're into, they value more than a life inside of a womb. And man, it's sad. It's just sad that we live in a time like this. It's sad that we live in a day where this is a common thing, right? And, you know, child sacrifice has been, and I know people don't like that. I get that, but it is what it is, right? And I know that's been something that's gone out throughout history, and now it's just people think it's they don't see it like that. You say that word, and to them it's crazy. To them it's you sound crazy because I'm not sacrificing a child, but what are you doing then? What are you trading in place of that child? What is it, you not having this child and murdering this child? What is that going to benefit for you? There's something that you're sacrificing the life of that child to gain elsewhere, whether it's time, whether you think you're going to be stressed out and it's going to, you know, give you less stress to not let this child be born. Somewhere in there's a sacrifice. So you can see it how you want to see it, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. But I'm going to leave it right there. If you want to see the full sermon of Pastor Mark Dricoll, I'll put that link down in the description. And just pray for me. I'll be praying for y'all if you made it this far. I love y'all. Thank y'all. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. Hit the like button if you've been enjoying the content. And if you're pro-abortion, you can't be a Christian. You can't be a Christian and be okay with abortion. So I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, but you cannot love God if you're not loving others as yourself. And yes, that includes lives inside of the womb. So I know that's going to piss a lot of people off, like I said, but just know I love you, but we're not here to make friends. We're here to spread the truth.